minutes. We'll give them a couple more minutes, but you know, it's all good.
I'll tell you what, while we wait, if you want to hear it, I'll tell you the story about how I got into a bar fight in Houston.
Sure.
All right, so I was going down there for a con, and which was cool because they took us on a tour of NASA. All the guests who were there got to go on a tour of NASA. So I got to go on a tour with the holographic doctor and with Radagast and Buck Rogers and several other people, which was really neat, and we had a nice day. But the night before, though, I got in late. I think my plane landed around 11, and by the time they got me to the hotel, it was about 12:30. The driver got lost trying to find the hotel within sight of the hotel. I kept trying to tell him, it's right there. No, look, it's right there. Look, don't look at the phone. The hotel, it's right there. But anyway, but by the time I got in, the restaurant was closed, and the only place to get any food was the bar, so I went down to the bar. And it was really crowded because it was like a 14,000 person convention being held inside one hotel. It was a throng, and but the hotel staff hadn't taken them seriously, and they only had one waitress on duty in the bar that night, and it was packed. And she was this bitty little 5-0 thing, and was obviously at the end of her rope. And there was a group of guys there, and one of them had managed to get drunk. I don't know how he did it with only one waitress. But he managed to get drunk, and when the bill came, he was not happy with the bill. And so he gets up, and he starts kind of physically encroaching on her and getting into her space and behaving in ways that are not appropriate. So he was doing it about 3 feet from me, and it's like, well, there's nobody else around here. I guess I need to say something. And so I kind of stood up and sort of slid between them with my hands like this, and I said, "Hey, man," and he hit me in the stomach. Now, I was lucky he hadn't picked up a butter knife or something like that before he hit me in the stomach. But at least as long as it was just he was just using his fist. So I mean, if you know how to take a hit in the stomach and they don't get you right in the breadbasket, you can take one of those if you know how. And I've had enough martial arts that I was like, okay, well, I was sort of expecting trouble, so I knew how. So I took the hit, and I'm standing here like this. And I wanted to distract him because I didn't want him to grab me. So I kind of turned this hand over and wrapped him in the forehead a bit with it. Like not a fist or anything, because when you hit people with your fist, it hurts. And I had to sign books that weekend. So like real low, I stepped forward into him and just kind of give a good straightforward thrust like that in the breadbasket where you can't take it very well. And it was an open hand, it was an open palm strike like this. I just wanted to create some distance. So I hit him probably harder than I meant to, and you know he fell over backwards and into his friends, and they gathered around, and then they're like, okay, no, they're like, oh, whoa, we're sorry, no, he gets like this when he's drunk. We'll handle it. Come on, man. They packed him up and got out of there, and somebody called the police, and so I think it was a sheriff's deputy that arrived next, because in Texas the sheriff's deputies have the big, you know, the Smokey the Bear hats. Right? Yeah. So this guy sits down across the table from me and says, so what happened? And I said, well, there was a fellow that needed knocked on his ass. And the sheriff's like, just, that's what you're going to give me. I said, well, that's what it amounts to. Yeah, you can talk to anybody around here. They all saw it. And you can talk to the waitress. And the waitress hadn't seen it from up close. And my food was really hot by the time I got there. But the sheriff says, he goes around and talks to everybody. And the deputy comes back down, sits down across from me and says, well, it sounds like you needed knocked on his ass. Like I thought so, it didn't really amount to much, and he was like, all right, and he packed up and went, and then so that was how I got the bar fight in Houston. So.
Okay, a little bit of housekeeping here, guys. The people that are standing, I imagine fire marshal folks are going to come in and not be friendly. So please, if you've got an extra seat next to you, raise your hand. We want to get as many people in here as possible. Scoot in if you can. Let's try to defrag the room as much as possible.